Hey everybody, welcome back again to Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof is in the singing. And I mean, the proof is in the singing. I'm here with my lovely student, Gabriela Gunčíková, and we have something really special planned for you. So I'm continuing my series on doing isolated vocal tracks. Next up is Iron Maiden. The song is, what is the song?
The Trooper.
The Trooper. And we're going to talk about why this is important to us as Maiden fans. So we're going to do Iron Maiden's The Trooper. And if you wouldn't mind, before we get started, please like and subscribe to my channel. That would be really cool. I have a singing course, as you know, called How to Sing Better Than Anyone Else. You can find it right here at kentamplinvocalacademy.com, where I have a free singing forum with about 20,000 people over there all talking about getting great at singing. But I want to do The Trooper because I'm going to put The Trooper, our version that we did a few years back, in the description so you can check out how we did. And we're gonna do a few of these. I'm gonna do 3 Maiden pieces back to back, so it's a little mini Maiden-a-thon, so to speak. But I brought Gabriela in on this because we get a chance to finally work together after some time, and we're putting together some really special stuff for you guys. And Maiden was a huge influence for her, as was for me, but her perspective is a little different. Now, you're gonna say, wait a minute, I thought this is supposed to be about isolated vocals. We'll get to that, I promise, but I promise this will be worth your ride. So, and how she came to know of Maiden was very different than how I came to know of Maiden, because Maiden wasn't even really kind of in the Czech Republic. By the way, she's from the Czech Republic, currently living in London. But tell me about like when 80s metal or 80s power metal or whatever came to the Czech Republic. When was that?
Well, I mean, it was under a communistic regime, right, for 30 years.
Right.
So I remember my dad telling me stories that they had to get it like somewhere, like just get it in another country.
Like contraband. It's like
first time he got the Power Slave,
That's awesome.
vinyl. And he just could not believe the sound. You know, it was something so foreign for them. They didn't even have the guitars. It was unbelievable sound for them, something so alien.
Okay, so now, for our listeners out there, what is remarkable for me, and by the way, you guys are not gonna believe this part of the story. I kind of just learned some of this recently, and that is that Gabriela was really kind of into pop stuff when she was younger. And then she started picking up a couple of metal albums. Do you remember the first metal album what was the first, and was it Maiden or not? I mean, what was the first thing you picked up that you went, I can't believe I've been listening to pop all this time. What the heck is this? So tell me just a little bit about how that happened, because...
Well, the thing is that I was growing up listening a lot of metal.
Okay.
And
but I mean,
rock
before that
music
though.
as a kid, like Kiss, that was my favorite band when I was like 9 years old.
Okay.
And something happened, I don't know, like in my teenage years, like when I was 12 years old or something. And I wasn't listening bad pop. I was listening like Christina Aguilera.
Okay.
That time she released like the jazzy album, Whitney
album.
Houston. And that I just wanted to fit in, I guess. I just wanted, be more. So it wasn't bad pop back then, but
you have to clarify that, but go ahead.
And then I just hit some like teenager crisis kind of thing, and I just took all the pop albums, and I trashed them. I was like
literally threw them in the trash.
I went through some identity crisis. I don't know. Like, thank God I did. And I said, like, I need to find something new, something that would just define like what I want to do in the future. And I went into my dad's compilation.
His private stash. Go ahead, I'm listening.
And it's very common for so many Iron Maiden fans that it's the art, right? Like the cover. Like
yeah, sure. Yeah, for all of us.
Value.
That's back when we used to have album covers, folks.
So
but
I don't know if that was The Number of the Beast. Okay. I think something. I was like, wow, this is interesting. This looks really cool, badass.
Right.
Let's hear this. And
this is great.
I'm listening to it, and I don't remember that like there would be any other shift in my world and universe than back then.
That's crazy.
It changed my life. Like, well, I could not, I'm like, is this from a Jupiter, Mars? I don't know where is this coming from, but these melodies, the singing, like, I had goosebumps. I was just sitting there. I'm like, that's it. That's my destiny. Like, that's my future. That's like everything that I was looking for. So I changed my style, right? I just bought all the like Iron Maiden t-shirts, started to wear black, like just like all the... changed my life forever.
How old were you when this happened?
12 or
12 years
13,
old. Okay, 12, 13. Now,
Yeah.
I got to say one thing. So we were talking, and I'm learning new stuff, and we've hung out a lot. We've talked a lot, but I'm learning new stuff from her every day. And again, guys, we're going to get to the isolated vocal.
You'll take my life, but I'll take yours too.
Okay, so there's the first part. We'll get to that. Anyway, is that Gabriela was sharing with me that she had a choir teacher that told you what?
It was actually a choir teacher and a vocal teacher.
Okay.
That, first of all, they said that I will never be able to sing rock or metal.
Okay.
Which broke my heart back then. I'm like, what do you mean?
Right.
What do you mean? And one of them told me that I cannot actually sing, and I will never be able to sing. You know, I will have
that
to like,
crazy?
start from the scratch and from the beginning, just because I had a lot of chest voice.
Yeah.
And I belted a lot, of course. I'm like, of course I want to belt.
Right.
They were like, no, like that's technically incorrect. You will have to start from scratch. You cannot have this level.
And how did you resolve that?
Well, I was like searching on Google, looking for somebody, and then I found you.
Okay.
And I heard your
and
run to
so-
the hills. Run to the hills.
Of all things, by
I'm
the way.
like, I'm sold. I am sold. Like,
It was all downhill from there. Okay, but so guys, let's picture this for 1 second because we're going to get into the music. So let's picture this. Young girl, a village. By the way, how many people are in your village in the Czech Republic? You're like a couple hours outside of Prague, right?
it's like 4 hours from Prague.
Okay.
And my parents live in a village that has like 300 people in it.
So from a village of 300 people, 4 hours outside of the Czech Republic of Prague, the main city, she gets a hold of an Iron Maiden record, a couple other metal albums. At the age of 12, her universe changes and she says, this is my destiny. This is what I was meant to do, basically, right? I mean,
It was.
and against all odds, too. People telling you can't sing. And we're not going to bash on Superstar and stuff, but let's just say the ride wasn't all that easy. And what she had to go through one of the singing shows, kind of their version of American Idol, Czech Idol, was not so easy either. And so she fought and has worked very, very hard at her craft and came from being told she couldn't sing at all to the Gabriela that we've come to know and love. And you're going to come to know and love a lot more. You were going to say something and I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
That it actually, it was one Bruce's scream, I think it was in The Number of the Beast. And I remember that it was a moment when I said like, I want to become a singer, actually. I really want to become a singer. It changed my life and I'm like, this is what I want to do. It's like, I want to play like shows and be on the stage and it changed my life forever.
That's
like,
awesome. From
there on. So he is the reason probably why I sing, like in the first place.
Yeah. And I want to add one more thing to this. Again, one more thing, is that you're also an instrumentalist. You play pretty good guitar.
Yeah. I started playing guitar.
Yeah, that was your first instrument before singing, right?
9 years.
Yeah.
Classic guitar.
Right. So she comes at listening to bands like Maiden from an instrumentalist sort of background first, and then vocals second. So that's also been a pleasure to working with her because when I take on instrumentalists, they have a lot more discipline to want to do, to understand what it takes to get good at something. Okay, so I just want to fire this up and then we're just going to dive right in. So anyway, just a little bit of preliminary stuff I thought you guys would find interesting as we do this. And again, I waited to do this because I know what a big Maiden fan that she is. And we just did 2 minutes to midnight too. We'll put that in the description, but we're also going to do a tutorial or isolated vocal on that too. But let's just dive in. Check it out. Here we go.
All right.
You'll take my life, but I'll take yours too. You fire musket, but I'll run you through. So when you're waiting for the next attack, you better stand, there's no turning back. The bugle sounds, the charge begins. But on this battlefield, no one wins. The smell of acrid smoke and horse's breath as they plunge on into certain death.
Cool. Okay. Tell me when you hear this, what do you think of? I'm going to share technically what I think of, but what comes to mind?
I think of your wife.
What do you mean?
She laughs at me because I say that this is the kind of a voice that relaxes me.
Yeah.
I find it every time I listen to Dio or like Bruce Dickinson. Oh my god, this is so relaxing. And your wife's like,
I don't think Bruce.
You're
I
crazy.
don't think Bruce would expect that. But go ahead, I'm listening. All right.
I don't know. It's like
Okay.
I was just so happy like to hear this.
It
this
energizes
color of
you.
the voice. Like it's just like it's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when we first met too, I used to make fun of her vibrato. She's gotten a lot better at it. But I used to sing, you better take it. right? Because he has something called a wobble, or a very guttural vibrato. It's a tremolo wobble that is actually coming from his abdomen. But we've also talked a lot about his stamina. Now, I've covered a lot of these isolated vocal tracks, and one of the things I find interesting about this one compared to a lot of tracks we've done is most of the time the band, Dio's an exception, there's a lot of exceptions, not a lot, there are a few exceptions, this being one of them, where the vocal isn't really as intense as what you think it might be. And you take the track away and you go, wow, I thought there was a lot more energy in that vocal, and I thought it was a lot more powerful than I remember, and all these different things. This is exactly the opposite. Check this out, listen to it.
You'll take my life, but I'll take yours too. You fire musket, but I'll run you through. So when you're waiting for the next attack, you better stand, there's no turning back.
So you take my life! And it's like, rah, 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 and you can feel the battle scene involved. So a lot of times, when lyrics go by, you don't really even know what the guy's saying, and maybe he still didn't when he was singing, but you got the impression that there was some duking going on. And one of the interesting things about this is what Bruce is excellent at conveying is, I knew that it was something about, stabbing, fighting, shooting, killing, war, I didn't have to go like this to the lyric to get that. He conveyed it with the energy and the lyric, and I think that's absolutely genius. So, that's kind of what I get with that. With the big wide vibrato, I love his distortion too. Now we're gonna go into this a little bit more because Bruce has a tremendous command of mixed voice that he used a lot as he goes into his upper register. And we're gonna point that out as we go. We're gonna take on the next line. Here we go.
The bugle sounds, the charge begins. But on this battlefield, no one wins. The smell of awkward smoke and horse's breath as a plunge on into certain death.
Now, I'm going to point out something that maybe most of you guys don't know about. Within vibrato and within the orchestral community, so orchestrating something, if you sing underneath a track or flat to a track, there's a sense of you kind of want to help the person kind of get it, right? And you don't even really know you're doing this, but you do it. And then there's Bruce, and there's few guys out there that are like this, where they actually sing on top of the track with a really wide vibrato pushed in an upward direction. Instead, it's so he's pushing up, which creates a sense of urgency and a sense of intensity. And there's an old composer saying that being flat, it makes you cringe, or being flat is annoying, and being sharp is exciting to an extent, okay? So Bruce actually always sings sharp or on top of the notes of the track. So I wanna show you something. I want you to listen to this real quick, as I wasn't gonna do a ton of this, but I wanna make sure that you guys understand. I wanna get to the actual track itself and play it so you can hear he's actually singing sharp to the whole track. Listen up.
Understand, there's no turning back. The bugle sounds, the charge begins. But on this battlefield, no one wins. The smell of awkward smoke and horse's breath as a plunge on into certain death.
Right? He's always above the track and coming down. So you have this sense of, oh my gosh, what's going on here? What's going on here? And that's actually part of the genius of the intensity of the lyric and the way he presents it. What the other thing that it does too, and I think it's one of the things Gabriela liked about it too, is that it forces you to be in tune with there's music that's wallpaper music and there's music that's confrontational. I am being forced to decide whether I like this or not, and that's Iron Maiden. You either like them or you don't, and you go, I am being forced to make a decision whether I like it or not, and that's another.
You better like them.
Exactly, or else. Amen, insistent. All right, so let's continue. Cool. All right, get in. Now, another thing too is he has a particular kind of distortion that is really unusual because he was able to get away with it for a lot of years, and he's just on the cusp of using too much compression in the throat, but he's able in these parts here to have enough mixed voice to be able to relax the voice in the sound and lean into it enough to have a lot of range without forcing and pulling a lot of muscle mass up into the throat, okay? So we're gonna listen to that one more time, we'll check it out. Hear how fluid that is in the throat? things Gabriela and I have worked on a lot in my singing course, and I cover all this stuff in my singing course. All vowel sounds stem from...
It's the la, ah.
Right.
Ah.
So what do you notice about this as it's going by on that ah vowel?
Well, I learned that the more I think of ah, basically just going even all the way up there in the high notes, the easier it gets.
Right.
Because it keeps the throat really open.
And that's no matter what vowel it is, right?
Yeah.
E or O or oo or a or a, right?
It's so interesting, especially when you... And he said many times he was inspired by Dio. Like
Right.
when he was young, teenager, he was singing Stargazer.
Right.
And Dio is the master of vowels.
Right.
Like when you listen to the words like that he says, it's always so beautifully round.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how he's able to sustain that big voice all the way up. And that's something that I'm trying to learn. It's just like especially because I'm a female singer. In metal and rock, I don't like the thin voices. You know,
Right.
like I just like every time, like, how can we prevent that? I know I'm a female, but how can I sustain this big volume bell sound like that would go all the way up there and would like get any
Pinch and
thinner.
squeeze,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Choke off the
And
cord.
that's why I just like Dio and Bruce are just awesome.
What would you say, and I'm not asking to, like, be honest, I never want to solicit anything from anyone that's disingenuous, ever, for any reason. It makes no sense. Would you say, as you've been doing the program, what has that taught you about these vowels as you've gone up? Like the ah vowel specifically, since we're talking about ah. Like when you first started to now, what you're learning about the ah vowel, has it opened you up? Has it taught you?
We just talked about it yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
We trained for 2 weeks. I got 2 notes in my chest voice.
2 extra notes.
2 extra notes that I can pull my chest up there. That's been just 2 weeks. So let's think of like next 2 weeks
Right.
or a month.
Right.
Like my range, it cannot be, I don't know, it's like a miracle. It's like a miracle.
And by the way, this isn't a paid political announcement. And just be honest. Like, I just want honesty.
I am honest. Like, I would not, we're great friends, but if the chorus wouldn't work, if it wouldn't work, I would never support it.
Right.
I couldn't. Like, there were people, I worked with them in the past, and I cannot talk really nicely about them because they did not help me. But for sure, it takes time. You need to learn it. Like, sometimes you're like, come on, do it. I'm like, just give me a second to just process this
Right.
a little bit, because what you're doing, you're training your muscles. You're actually training your throat to do the work. And sometimes I'm just like, I need to really in my mind kind of think of the technique and then learn the muscle or teach the muscle how to do it.
Right.
And more, of course, and we are, like as singers, we should be instrumentalists. It should be normal that we do train our voices 2-3 hours a day, and guitar players, they do 8 hours.
Right.
That's way long.
A good one. Yeah.
But you do it not because you want to feel something, because you want to teach the throat to do the right things. You want to teach and connect up the throat.
You're training muscle
And
memory.
The diaphragm itself is a big muscle that you need to train as well. So the connection of the great vowels with the support coming from diaphragm is the way to do it.
Right.
That's the way to do it. And with you, I always thought I had limits as a singer. And I'm like, oh, this is just, I can just sing this much and that's it. With you, we were discovering different colors, different
Ranges.
tones,
Yeah.
ranges. I never even had a mixed voice, actually, because in the past, I either had a chest voice, which is the very loud sound, or a head voice, which is like,
Right.
that was it. There was nothing in between. What we did with the vowels, we created this bridge that suddenly I have this insane range.
Right.
Because we connected these two and created this bridging in between. And it's incredible because it gives you such a tool to work with.
Yeah.
So I'm excited because I am excited.
And you guys are going to see soon, man. You're going to see what we've been working on. She's been on a hiatus for a while. It's been a few years, actually. So we're kind of getting back into the swing of things, but we're coming back in full-blown, guns blazing with a vengeance. And you'll see what's in store. So, all right, well, that's awesome. And again, this This wasn't even intended to be like some big paid political announcement. I was just asking her to kind of share what she's been experiencing. So we talked about everything comes all off the ah vowel, and it's this one vowel that just has slight shifts to other vowels. And once you understand how to master this vowel and then the mixed voice and everything else, controlling the diaphragm, controlling the air, the amount of air that's used, and being able to compress that air, and how we compress that air without choking off the cords and throat. All this stuff matters. I cover all that in the course. We're gonna continue on here.
The horses swept with fairy break to run, the mighty roar of the rushing guns, and as we race towards the human wall, the screams of pain as Montgomery's fall. We hurtle bodies that lay on the ground, and the Russians fire another round. We get so near yet so far away, we won't live to fight another day.
Now, he pulls, we will live to fight another day! He's like, ah! He's like pulling up really hard at it. But most of the time, live to fight another day! Like other times, he'll actually shift into a mixed voice. So this is one of those times he actually pulls chest up into the sound, but like on like 2 Minutes to Midnight and on Run to the Hills and stuff, when he does the really high notes, he shifts through his mixed voice on into head voice. So you'll hear it again here
the
real quick.
horses swept with fairy break to run, the mighty roar of the rushing guns, and as we race towards the human wall, the screams of pain as Montgomery's fall. We hurtle bodies that lay on the ground, and the Russians fire another round. We get so near yet so far away, we won't live to fight another day.
Now, on live to find, he starts to go into a mixed voice and then chooses to make the end more intense. Live to fight another day! And then he hits it really hard. Listen closely. You can hear him start to shift into the mix. Listen.
So far away, we won't live to fight another day.
You hear the live to fight another day! And then he brings chest up a little bit of more of a percentage of chest into the sound. That's why I said he's a master at mix. Going back, did you hear that just now?
I did.
Okay, cool.
As a female, I would go chest all the
Yeah,
way.
right, because she's got a high range.
Because we have higher range, but
Right.
guys shift into this mix that actually sounds like chest.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yours does too, but it's just a higher altitude of singing, so
Yeah.
to speak. But yeah, cool. All right, so let's. Here we go. Starting my 57 Chevy in the Sorry. Right. She's gonna kill me later.
Yes, of course.
I think she's the biggest Maiden fan on planet Earth. I kid you not. Would you say you're way up there? She has total man love for Bruce.
I mean, Maiden fans are all like super loyal, like super. I'm a very.
She knows
loyal,
more about Bruce than his ex-wife did.
We get so close, near enough to fight. When a Russian gets me in his sights, he pulls the trigger and I feel the blow. A burst of rounds take my horse below. And as I lay there gazing at the sky, my body's numb and my throat is dry. And as I lay forgotten and alone, without a tear I draw my parting groan.
Cool. Now, some of these lyrics are pretty grisly, and I know we're going to talk about 2 Minutes to Midnight here coming up because we're going to do a few of these right now. But this was, as an American, it's really easy to sit, I guess for now, in our comfort zone and not realize the carnage and the impact and the long-lasting ripple effect of what war has had, particularly on Europe. And in his case, he's talking about Russians, so it's World War I, World War II, it's obviously a world war of sorts, whatever. And they wrote several songs about that. And we're gonna talk more about the lyrics in forthcoming videos. But it's interesting how affected so many bands were in this time period, especially writing about war and the effects of war and the detriment of war. Now, yes, there's Creedence Clearwater writing Fortunate Son and all that. There was a big anti-war sentiment that happened in the late 60s, because of Vietnam and just everything that happened. It's just a war machine, the way that, our governments seem to make money off the blood of 16-year-old men. Dying. But anyway, so he's certainly no exception to that. So I thought this interesting. And also, we're going to do we have an extra special surprise. I'm going to tell you it's a Halloween tune, and it's coming up. I didn't say Halloween, I said Halloween. And it's also a song about war too, so that's also fascinating that even in Germany and other parts of throughout Europe, their perspective on it too was, no, this ain't right, this ain't right, this ain't right. And I just find that fascinating that there's the same sentiment. And I don't think it's someone plagiarizing, oh yeah, he's writing about war, so I'm going to write about war. It's like embedded indelibly on the mind, especially of Europeans, and I know that you and your family have gone through that. Heck, Czech Republic, 83, when did you guys come out of communism?
89.
89, sorry, duh. 1989. I mean, think about that. That was my second Shout album, and she's just getting out, her country's just getting out of...
I was born in 1993, so you have 4 years of democracy.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Which is also, okay, I want to touch on this real quick. We don't have to make this too long, but one of the things that I think is really interesting is that she is a byproduct of democracy, 4 years of democracy when she was born, 93. And so she kind of was given permission or had the spirit of being a rebel against socialism or communism. And what's interesting, our poor country is starting to enter into some bizarre socialistic things, and I'm not going to get political on you guys, but I do want to say this. The people that have grew up through it didn't have the fight in them to want it to get out of that. I was going to use a different term, but I want to get out of that. And so she is living proof of that generation that was given an opportunity the minute they were given freedom, the minute they're given a chance to sing or become something or go out into the world and do something else other than just, serving the government, so to speak. It could be in the military or whatever. She was able to get out of that and branch into becoming who you are today, which I think is a really fascinating social study for me anyway. But okay, that's basically it. So anyway, gang, we have more of these coming. Thank you for joining us. This is going to be awesome. And we have some unbelievable music coming your way. And we also have some really crazy great players that are going to be playing on some of the pieces that we're working up. So you guys are going to be, I think, in for a pleasant surprise. So anyway, until next time, say ciao for now.
I'll see you guys later. You guys let us know in the comments, how did you discover Iron Maiden?
There we go.
We would love to read that for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Very exciting.
That's a good idea. All right, gang. Thank you for joining us. Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Again, I have a singing course called How to Sing Better Than Anyone Else. You can find it at kentamplinvocalacademy.com. And until next time, peace out.